Ever notice how preschoolers ascribe human characteristics and feelings to animals? They'll see a tiny newt under a tree and then spot a larger newt a little bit away and automatically know that they are a parent and child. They'll build a little stick house around a worm and then decorate it with flower petals so that the worm can feel beautiful. They'll gently lift one beetle on a leaf and place it next to another beetle near a log so that the beetles don't feel lonely. Young children know with absolute certainty that animals are just like us. Hello, I'm Nicole Treville, and this is Wildwood Teaching. And I want to encourage you to nurture this anthropomorphism just a little bit. First, because children aren't necessarily wrong. While I don't know if I believe that ladybugs can feel lonely, I do know that many animals are indeed social creatures. And many of the things that drive our human behavior also drive animal behavior. Things like a need for food and shelter, caring for family members, feeling comfort, having a friendship, companionship. But also because for preschoolers, their family is their whole lives, right? So if we investigate animal families, particularly when they are more active in these spring months, it's a way not only to connect children to the natural world, but also to help them understand their own lives a little bit more. So one year, we had six children whose mothers were either currently pregnant or who had just given birth within the past few months. Now, this was in a small group of 12 children, so naturally they had questions, right? How do babies get into mom's tummies? How do they get back out? How come some babies hatch from eggs and some come from mommies? What's my role going to be as an older sibling? Right? What are we going to do when babies cry and why are they crying so much? And that year, we were lucky enough to find outside here robin's nest. And to be honest, pretty much every spring, it's rare that we don't find a robin's nest somewhere, but this gave us the opportunity for children to observe that whole process, right? From discovering the nest to finding out that there were eggs in the nest to waiting until the babies hatch, to seeing the hatchlings, watching the parents care for the babies, watching the babies gradually get bigger, taking their first out of the nest flights, and observing the birds and this other nature that's arriving in the spring. We could talk about the differences between mammals and egg-laying animals, and we could also note the types of care that babies need and what the parents do to take care of those needs. And this gave the children the foundation to compare that to human babies and the care that they need. You might not be lucky enough to observe a nest outside. There are many small animals that you can invite into the classroom to hatch from eggs and watch that process, right? There are obviously birds, ladybugs, tadpoles, fish. I do recommend that before you introduce any eggs into your classroom, that you have a clear plan for what you are going to do once these eggs hatch. Either that means that you are sourcing, say, aquatic frog eggs that you know can live in a small tank in your classroom after they've hatched, or whether you are then sourcing those tadpoles from a nearby pond so that you know that you can release the frogs back into their natural habitat once they have grown. Um, we also had success that year um, taking in a large, it was like this, just a red plastic egg um, that the children built a little nest around it, and we, pretended like we were waiting for it to hatch so that we could kind of talk about the processes that we were seeing and what might happen to our pretend egg. And at some point, the children decided that it was a dinosaur egg. So I one day replaced the egg with a toy dinosaur. Look, it hatched. And then the children were able to pretend, or role play, taking care of the dinosaur, feeding it, keeping it warm, carrying it, washing it, as you might do with a baby after it is born. Now, at the beginning of this video, I use the term anthropomorphism, which is a little bit misleading because I am really not suggesting that you show the children how to make humans the center of the natural world and assign human characteristics to animals like living in houses and wearing clothing. What I am suggesting is that you lean into allowing the children to draw parallels between their human existence and animal existence. Um, According to Psychology Today, children who have these early experiences with animals, whether that's in the wild or in a classroom or through having a pet at home, or it could even be Psychology Today referenced parents who have like a biology related career and bring that information to their children. Those children actually are less likely to take an anthropomorphic view of the world. Because they have had these experiences truly understanding animals, which means for me that the byproduct of children's natural interest in learning about and caring for animal families is empathy. I want them to have empathy for all life. So this spring, take some time to connect children to all of the animal life that is growing around them and how animal babies and families survive and care for each other. Because in the long run, it's going to create a lot of humans who are a lot more caring about the natural world and each other. And then see me here next week for another free episode of Wildwood Teaching. I will see you there.